So now we get into what they called the Hungry 30s. You'll notice that motorcycles now, there's very, very little shiny chrome on them anywhere. In order to make them more attractive to the public, they started putting on better paint jobs, and it's the beginning of the Art Deco graphics on the gas tanks, which are still going today. In 1936, Harley-Davidson set up an engine plant in Japan and kick-started the Japanese motorcycle industry. It had been going since 1908, but it had been floundering around a little, and an entrepreneur got the rights to Harley-Davidson for these Japanese companies, and the Japanese government, ironically, expropriated the factory a year later. The four-cylinder Indian was a thing of beauty, really, but it was very, very expensive to produce. And they finally they put them out of the lineup because the price of a Indian 4 was equal to the price of a new Buick. Now we get into war production. You'll find that most of the Harleys that were made for the war effort, their VIN numbers all seem to start with 42. And you'll notice for the scabbard and the saddlebags and everything on them, they were all set to be self-contained for a fighter. The one over here, which is the Indian, is a very unique engine in it. It looks very similar to a Moto Guzzi. Harley-Davidson was asked to build 1,000 bikes using a BMW as a basis, and Indian was asked to make a similar bike, shaft-driven, with cylinders out to the side, both designed to go back to the desert and fight against Rommel's troops. And unfortunately, halfway through the production line, somebody invented the Jeep, which they did not need the motorcycle for fighting on the desert anymore, so they were relegated to delivering the mail. They never did finish the run of the Indians. They were sold as war surplus right out of the Indian factory. Some of the Harleys actually made it into the war, but a lot of them were sold off as war surplus. Well, the 1936 Knucklehead, so-called because actually the configurations of the heads are the shape of a knuckle, is the first overhead valve the first overhead valve Harley-Davidson made. While Indians were still making flatheads, Harley was moving ahead quite rapidly with their overhead valve engines. I think you'll find with the Indian, they were all bean counters and bankers and no enthusiasts running the company. And Harley-Davidson was actually had a lot of enthusiasts for taking care of business. So they could see advancements when they were coming. The Indian was only interested in the bottom right-hand corner of the contract.